If you're a Palantir investor or just curious about this AI powerhouse, you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into everything happening with Palantir stock. Price movements, breaking news, retail sentiment, short interest, options activity, and what the big players on Wall Street are saying. Buckle up, because there's a lot to unpack, and we're keeping it real for all you retail investors out there who are riding the Palantir wave. Welcome to Stock Hub, your go-to place for the latest stock market news, analysis, and insights. Don't forget, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Let's get started. First up, let's talk about the stock price. As of the latest market close, Palantir Technologies, ticker PLTR, is trading at around $128 per share. Over the last 24 hours, the stock has been a bit of a roller coaster, with intraday swings showing volatility that's got investors on edge. We saw a dip early in the trading session, with the stock dropping about 2% at one point, but it clawed its way back to close nearly flat. This kind of choppy action isn't unusual for Palantir, given its high valuation and the hype surrounding its AI-driven growth. For context, Palantir stock has been on a tear this year, up over 55% year-to-date, but these short-term fluctuations are keeping traders on their toes. The question is, what's driving this price action? Let's dig into the news. One of the biggest stories buzzing around Palantir right now is their new partnership with Bain Company, one of the big three consulting firms. This collaboration is a massive deal because it's designed to accelerate AI adoption for enterprises. Bain's global reach and Palantir's cutting-edge AI platform, particularly their AIP, artificial intelligence platform, could unlock new commercial contracts and expose Palantir's tech to a broader client base. Posts on X are lighting up about this, with users like Hunnis Investing calling it bullish news and predicting a surge in user adoption. This partnership comes on the heels of Palantir's Q1 performance, where they reported $884 million in revenue, a sizzling 39% year-over-year growth, and their commercial segment jumping 71%. That kind of momentum is why so many investors are excited, but it's also raising eyebrows about whether the stock's sky-high valuation is justified. Speaking of valuation, let's address the elephant in the room. Palantir's forward price-to-earnings ratio is sitting at a jaw-dropping 200-plus times. That's not a typo. Social media is buzzing with debates about whether this is sustainable. A post from So Just Follow Me on X asked point blank, is Palantir really worth 200x forward PE? They highlighted the company's accelerating revenue growth, 39% year-over-year in Q1, marking the 9th straight quarter of improving growth rates, and a full-year 2025 revenue guidance of $3.9 billion, up 36%. But the flat adjusted earnings per share of 13 cents year-over-year has some folks questioning if the stock's price is running too far ahead of fundamentals. This tension between growth and valuation is a hot topic, and we'll circle back to it when we talk about retail sentiment. Now let's talk about another headline that's got people talking: insider selling. A post from Finbold on X flagged that Palantir executives offloaded $124 million in stock recently. For retail investors, insider selling can feel like a gut punch, especially when you're emotionally invested in a company like Palantir. But let's put this in perspective. Insider sales don't always mean executives are bearish. They could be diversifying their portfolios, covering taxes, or just cashing in on the stock's massive run. Still, it's something to keep an eye on, especially since Palantir's stock has been under pressure from valuation concerns. No lawsuits or major negative news have surfaced in the last 24 hours, but this insider activity is definitely fueling speculation. Let's shift gears to retail sentiment, because you guys are the heart of this story. On platforms like Reddit and X, Palantir remains a darling among retail investors, but the mood is mixed right now. On Reddit, particularly in forums like Ars Wall Street Bets and Ars Stocks, bulls are hyping up Palantir's government contracts, like their $795 million deal with the Department of Defense, and their expanding commercial footprint. The Bain partnership has sparked a lot of optimism, with users pointing out that Palantir's ability to land deals with consulting giants signals strong demand for their AI solutions. However, there's also a vocal group of skeptics. Some Redditors are worried about the stock's lofty price-to-earnings ratio, echoing posts on X like the one from Diary Adekchai, which noted Palantir 39% revenue growth and doubling profits, but warned about the stock's expensive valuation. The sentiment is passionate but split. Bulls see Palantir as the future of AI, while bears think it's overdue for a correction. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty: short interest and options activity. According to the latest data, Palantir's short interest is significant, with roughly 10% of the float shorted. That's not as high as some other high-flying tech stocks, but it's enough to create potential for a short squeeze if positive news, like a blowout earnings report or another major contract, sparks a rally. Options activity has been lively, with a noticeable uptick in call buying over the last 24 hours. This suggests traders are betting on short-term upside, possibly driven by the Bain partnership news. However, there's also been some put activity, indicating that not everyone is convinced the stock can keep climbing without a pullback. The options market is reflecting the same tug-of-war we're seeing in retail sentiment, optimism tempered by caution. What about the big players? Analyst behavior is another piece of the puzzle. While I don't have specific analyst updates from the last 24 hours, recent reports provide some context. Analysts at firms like RBC Capital Markets and Jefferies have flagged Palantir's valuation as a risk, with price targets ranging from $40 to $60, well below the current $128 price. They're citing the stock's 80 times expected 2025 revenue as a potential red flag. On the flip side, analysts like William Blair's Louis De Palma are more bullish, pointing to Palantir's government contract wins, like the $30 million ICE contract, and strong U.S. commercial adoption as reasons to stay optimistic. D.A. Davidson's Gil Luria, who holds a neutral rating, recently told Yahoo Finance that as long as Palantir keeps delivering fundamentally, there's little reason to expect the growth story to stall. The analyst community is divided, much like retail investors, but the lack of fresh downgrades or upgrades in the last 24 hours suggests Wall Street is in a wait-and-see mode. So what's driving all this noise around Palantir? It's the classic growth stock story. On one hand, you've got a company that's crushing it with AI-driven solutions, landing massive government and commercial contracts, and now partnering with heavyweights like Bain Company. Posts on X, like the one from MoneyCheck.com, highlight the 71% growth in Palantir's commercial segment as a sign of their expanding reach. On the other hand, the stock's valuation is in nosebleed territory, and insider selling is raising questions. The market seems to be wrestling with whether Palantir is a once-in-a-generation opportunity or a bubble waiting to pop. For retail investors, this can feel overwhelming. You're passionate about Palantir's mission, using AI to solve complex problems for governments and businesses, and you're inspired by their growth. But the volatility and high valuation can make your stomach churn. Here's where we land. Palantir fundamentals are strong. Revenue growth is accelerating, their client base is expanding, and partnerships like the one with Bain could open new doors. But the stock's price reflects a lot of future growth already, and any misstep, like a weak earnings report or delays in government contracts, could spark a pullback. The short interest and options activity suggest traders are positioning for both upside and downside, so expect more swings. In conclusion, Palantir is a company that thrives on big bets, on AI, on government contracts, on commercial expansion. For retail investors, it's a stock that inspires hope but demands patience. The Bain partnership and strong Q1 numbers are reasons to stay optimistic, but the high valuation and insider selling remind us to stay grounded. As always, this isn't financial advice, just analysis to help you make sense of the noise. Keep your eyes on Palantir's next moves, especially their upcoming earnings and any new contract announcements. Thanks for watching Stock Hub. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. See you in the next one.